I used to live downtown with lots of roommates, and it was a very busy downtown life, and now I live on a houseboat, and it's such a change of pace. The size of my houseboat is 35.5 feet by 13.5 feet, so just under 500 square feet. This, when I first moved in the houseboat, was my least favorite space, but I've since done a bunch of renovations on it and some upgrades, and now I absolutely love it. It's a bright open space, there's tons of storage, there's all the appliances I would need, and it's a wonderful space to cook in. The updates I made for the kitchen was I changed out the backslash, put in a new stovetop and an oven, changed out the rattan and the cabinet handles. I also put in a washer dryer kind of bench over there so I had extra counter space. So it's kind of a lot of small things over time that have really made the kitchen very functional and a really wonderful space. When living on a houseboat, you actually don't have to sacrifice storage space. So I actually have a ton of cabinet space here for all my spices, my dishware, my pots and pans, everything like that. So I came from a very large house that was a shared space that had a massive kitchen, and pretty much everything from that has come into this space. So it's bigger than it looks. This sink I changed out, but purely practicality, it fit in the same footprint as the old sink, so I didn't really have much choice in the separated sink versus the one sink. In the houseboat, we have city water, so I have a hose that connects to the marina output and then comes in through the side of my houseboat. So I kind of always have water flowing, and it's city water, so it's great. These windows here are right along the dock, and when I first moved into the houseboat, I had these blinds here, and I used to use them sometimes at night. And after about 2 months of living here, I realized I loved people walking by the dock and waving when you're cutting your vegetables and everything, and so I took them down because I thought I'm never going to need blinds here. I love being able to see my neighbors down the dock. Before it was just kind of a stovetop, and then now this is an induction stove, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. It can boil water in, I don't know, 15 seconds. It's wild. Meal prep is pretty good in here. The space is small enough that you really, you can reach the fridge in 2 paces and you can get to the stove and everything. I would say only when I have kind of dinner parties or events does it get a bit crowded with platters and things and drinks and everything, but make it work. This area right here used to be a large window, which I am not lacking in any light in this place. So it made this a very unusable space. We took out that window and made it just into a wall, and then put in this coat closet, which is very necessary for your shoes and your coats and everything. This fridge to me is small, and I would love a bigger fridge, but I don't think that'll probably ever happen because weight is of a premium on a houseboat. So you really have to consider not only the size of things, but also the weight of things. And I posted a video, a little tour of my houseboat, and a lot of my followers are from Europe. And so many of them commented saying, that's a gigantic fridge, especially for one person. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, this tiny fridge. So it's relative. This dishwasher is my favorite part, probably, of my whole kind of mini renovation. My neighbors gave it to me, which was amazing of them. They had, they got a new one, and so they gave me this little one. And it's kind of perfect for like a tiny home. It's big enough to put everything in, but does its job. Moving on to the washer dryer. This, I would say I use it more just for the washer cycle. The dryer cycle takes about 3.5 hours and isn't very energy efficient. So I mostly hang dry everything in my house. My plan is to live on the houseboat long term. I can't see myself moving anywhere else. And now the kitchen is at a point that it has everything that I need in it. And I really don't think I need to make any more major changes. The people who actually built this houseboat were artists, and so there's a lot of really cool features like this food pantry, so it's kind of old aesthetic. This is where I keep all of my dry food and stores there. And then over here is my main storage area on the houseboat. This is where I have my seasonal items in boxes, and I also have chairs for my dining table, which is my desk, folds out. So everything is in here for that. I absolutely love reading, so this is actually one of my favorite little parts of the houseboat, is this little alcove. This was here when I moved in, and it's full of some of my favorite books. But one of the things that a lot of people know about tiny homes is you cannot have all the books that you want, which is millions. So I really have to kind of always, whittle down my book collection and donate the books that I don't want, and then I can get new ones. That's my agreement with myself. I color coordinate my books like a crazy person, but I mean, you gotta have a system, so that's mine. I used to work on yachts and I spent a lot of time on sailboats when I was a kid and a lot of time on the water. And so I've always loved kind of that aspect of life. And when I moved to downtown Toronto, you know, I loved being in the city, but it wasn't the same as kind of that waterside life. And so when I found out that there were houseboats for sale in Toronto, I was so excited. So I immediately went to go look at one, and the rest is history. For houseboats, you have to get a marine survey done when you purchase one, just to make sure, you know, everything's all in working order. Other than that, it's a fairly normal house purchase. So you kind of go through the motions with the realtor. You have to put an application with the marina just to make sure that everything's okay there and that you can keep maintaining this slip and keep paying the mooring fees to the marina for the slip. A mooring is where you're located in a marina, and in your slip you pay fees to the marina. So those are kind of a monthly cost that you have. Mine is about $1,100 a month. And part of that is you get the septic pump out, you get your mail, you get the garbage disposal, and then water as well. On top of that, you have to pay for your electricity bills. That's typically about between $50 and $150 a month, depending on the month. Also my insurance, which is a lot higher because floating home insurance is quite expensive. So that is about $3,500 a year. Houseboats are kind of like houses that they really depend on the location. Some areas of the US are much cheaper than certain areas here. So in this marina, the houseboats range from about $150,000 to up to about $600,000, $700,000. And then the floating homes, which are on concrete bases versus pontoons, they can go up to kind of 1.1 million. Welcome to my living room. I work for a furniture company. I do marketing, and so I'm very lucky that most of the pieces in here I actually got from work at a discounted price, and they fit in here wonderfully. You know, I have a lot of plants around. I love kind of making it very natural feeling with the woods and everything. So I really enjoyed this space. It's a high ceiling, which is very rare for a houseboat. Typically, they're kind of lower ceilings. So it has this very bright, open space feel to it, which it really makes such a difference. I live in the houseboat all year round, and since I'm in Toronto, it can get very cold in the winter time. So I had this wonderful wood stove that I use a lot for heating. I also do have in-wall electric heating that also helps heat my place, but I get a massive stack of wood delivered in kind of the fall season, and then I gradually go through that throughout the winter time. The amazing thing about this is that, you know, when you build it up and build up the fire, even if I've been gone for the whole day, it just raises the heat inside by, 10 degrees. It's absolutely incredible because it's such a small space. When I moved into the houseboat, this area was a closet, and that top space was all open. So I had my brother help me, and we filled this in and removed the closet just so it's a more functional living room space. It was kind of awkward having a coat closet in the middle of the living room because you couldn't really have chairs in front of it. And then this cloud bookshelf is one of my favorite things I own. I think it's so whimsical and beautiful, and I absolutely love it. When I was looking at buying the houseboat, I actually came in here and measured to make sure that it would fit in this space. I think sometimes when you move into a smaller space or you want a different lifestyle, there are certain things that you have to sacrifice. I was very lucky that in this space, it really, the things I loved, they fit in here. But I think if they hadn't, I would still have given them up, because just the quality of life that you get to live here in this houseboat, being on the water and being surrounded by nature, is such a different experience than the things, and that the things you love are great, but also it's the lifestyle choice. I'm lucky that I can work either in the office or at home. So when I'm at home, I have this lovely waterside desk looking over the lake there and kind of seeing the ducks and the swans swim by while I work. This desk is also folds out into a very large table. So I have a few leaves that I put into it. So if I want to have people over for a dinner party, I can just kind of clear some of the furniture. And this is typically where I put the table, is kind of in this area. And you can fit quite a lot of people at it. So it's a good small space, kind of conversion piece. When I thought about buying the houseboat, when I first saw it, I had about half of my friends and family who said, that's absolutely insane, you know nothing about this, you know, we live in a very cold climate some of the time, you know, in winter time, you really have no assurances. And then the other half, they know that I love boats, I worked on boats for years, I love being by the water, and they said, this is absolutely the perfect thing for you, you have to do it. And this feels like home in a way that nowhere else really has. My bathroom only has a bathtub and no showers, so that was a definite learning curve when I moved in, because I've always been a shower person and now I'm firmly team bath here. This is actually a plastic tub. It looks very convincingly like it's porcelain, but again, on a houseboat, you really can't have the weight, so it's a very lightweight tub. Part of the slow renovations that I always do on the houseboat, I painted this and added the rattan here and new knobs to just kind of make it feel a bit more cohesive in the aesthetic. And then I also have a few knickknacks, and I always have flowers. I love having flowers in my houseboat. It just brings me so much joy. So you always see them kind of peppered around everywhere around my houseboat. So the only locking room in this entire houseboat is the bathroom. It used to be massive, so this whole space was all open, which also made it one of the larger rooms in the whole houseboat. So when I moved in, I put in these closets, so it's now a much more functional space. And everyone always asks, what is your toilet like? And my toilet is a normal toilet. I have a septic tank that's right underneath my houseboat, kind of half submerged. And I have to pump that out about every 6 weeks. So I hook to hoses on the dock and then flick a switch, which is also in here, and it gets done. So right upstairs from the living room is this bedroom. I have a queen size bed, so it's kind of enough space there. This is full height standing right here. And then when you go up the stairs, you have to crouch a little bit, but it's fine. Over here, I have a hanging closet, so we put that in when I moved in and did this kind of minor renovations. My brother helped me with that, and so I can kind of hang, you know, jackets and dresses and things like that. One of the wonderful things about this bedroom is I get to roll out of bed and I have this amazing view of the marina and of the trees and the bluffs over there, so it's a really wonderful way to kind of see nature immediately when I get up. Out here is my window door that goes out to my upstairs deck. This is a really nice porch area, and so I kind of have the water side over there, and then I have the dock side, which is a nice area to have people over for drinks or anything like that. So in Toronto, you can't have any more floating homes. The 25 that are here are the only ones that can be built. And I think if there was a better structure around that kind of in Ontario in general, that it made it more affordable, this would be an excellent solution to our housing crisis, because we have so much waterfront. You know, if you can put in the infrastructure, they are tiny homes. They can be very self-contained if you have, you know, different ways that you can get alternative electricity and things like that. This could be such a good solution to it, but I feel like the government kind of fights it rather than supporting it. So in places like the Netherlands, you know, they have such an amazing infrastructure that supports it, and the housing and the houseboats and the narrowboats there are so much cheaper as a result of that, and it is a much, you know, more accessible way of life than it is here. For people who are wondering about, you know, living on a houseboat or in a tiny home, what I would say is it's not right for everyone, that's for sure. But if you know that it's the right thing for you, absolutely go for it. You're never going to be 100% sure about it. And I think you just have to trust your gut and trust your instinct and what type of lifestyle that you really want in life, and go for it. It's so rewarding. I wake up every morning and I just think, how lucky am I to have this at my doorstep and to live this sort of lifestyle? So do it. Thanks so much for watching. And if you want to learn a bit more about houseboat life, you can follow me on Instagram at My Little Houseboat, or on Facebook, also at My Little Houseboat. Bye.